This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by
Infinity of Memphis has moved to Germantown Road, just half-mile north of Wolf Chase Galleria, and is proud to support WKNO for its quality broadcasting and service to our community. Quality and service? No wonder Infinity of Memphis feels at home on WKNO. The Lighting Source, major line distributor of commercial and industrial lighting, including hard-to-find bulbs and fixtures, as well as a broad range of LED products. With 35 years' experience servicing lighting needs, The Lighting Source proudly sponsors Sports Files.
The WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
My guest today on Sports Files is the head football coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, Butch Jones. Plenty of pigskin talk on today's show with a look back at the Memphis Tigers' convincing win over Middle Tennessee State later in the program. But first up, Butch Jones. The second-year head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers is brimming with confidence. And why not? Jones has won everywhere he's been. He led Central Michigan to a pair of MAC championships and followed that up with 2 Big East crowns as head coach at Cincinnati. In his first year at Tennessee, the Vols won 5 games, including an upset of 11th-ranked South Carolina and a heartbreaking overtime defeat at the hands of Georgia. This season, the Volunteers have wins over Utah State and Arkansas State and a loss at 4th-ranked Oklahoma. Today, Butch Jones joins me to talk about bringing the swagger back to the Hill, the importance of Memphis as a recruiting area, and he previews this week's big game with Georgia. It's all next on Sports Files. Butch, it's good to have you in Memphis. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's always great to be where I call home and back in Memphis.
We know your ties with Cincinnati, being here in Memphis with the AutoZone Liberty Bowl game. But, of course, Memphis is a big part, I would imagine, of your recruiting grounds in the state of Tennessee, a city that produces a lot of talent. So I would imagine it's very important to you.
Well, it's very important. A lot of great talent and great high school coaching. And it is part of the state of Tennessee, and we take that very seriously. And we talk about winning with home state talent first and foremost, and individuals that have grown up with the Big Orange, and they understand the standard, the expectations, the relevancy, which is Tennessee football.
Do you understand the relevance of Tennessee football here in Memphis? There's a lot of orange here in Memphis.
Well, yes. And dating back to our earlier days at Cincinnati, and we really made a commitment at that point in time to recruit this area just because of the great high school coaches and great high school football players that we just spoke about. But also being at Cincinnati, I also knew all the great Tennessee fans that we have here. Butch,
3 games into the season, what do you see from your team?
Well, I see us progressing and getting better, and we're on a journey right now. And, we just concluded the Oklahoma game, and 47% just experienced their first road trip, and a little less than 50% experienced their first loss at Tennessee. And today they're kind of waiting to see how we would handle it, all the things that you go through. But the care factor with this football team is very, very high, and I see us making strides each and every day. I'm excited about now, and I'm also excited about the future of Tennessee football.
Anybody who watched that game knows that that's a young team, especially on the line, both offensively and defensively, and that's a veteran Oklahoma team. But you guys really competed from the start to the end in that game.
Well, that's the thing I thought we had great competitive character. I thought we competed on each and every snap, and our kids believed they were going to win right up to the final zeros on the scoreboard, and that's what we're looking for. And again, we just have to focus on the process, the journey. We're still going through the realities of building a football program right now, which is evidenced by the youthfulness of the football team.
Right.
And it's critical that we follow up this top 5 recruiting class with another top 5, top 10 recruiting class as well.
Was the biggest concern coming into the season just youth?
Well, it is. We don't have depth yet in our program. We don't have that luxury, especially in the line of scrimmage. And as we know, the SEC is a line of scrimmage league. But, the other thing with the youth is just the overall development, the overall strength, the knowledge, the experience. And they're gaining that right now, so we just need to continue to put our head down and work to be the best football team that we can possibly be.
We saw through the first couple of games, Justin Worley really performed very, very well. Very hard for him to do that against Oklahoma with all the pressure, but Your thoughts on your starting quarterback and how he's performed through 3 games?
Well, I think he's playing winning football for us, and we gauge everything about, how does each position play and are they playing winning football. I thought Justin really showed some true grit Saturday night. I thought he took a major step moving forward in his overall progression as a quarterback. I thought he showed some toughness. Now, some decisions we spoke about, but again, it's a different Justin Worley. I also think the quarterback is a byproduct of the individuals around him, and we're much more skilled than we were a year ago.
Talk about some specifics that you have seen from your team in the first 3 games that you really, really like. Right now you're saying, yes, this is where I want to be.
Well, the overall discipline. When you look at it, you go into 47% making their first road trip against the number 3, number 4 ranked team in the country, the Oklahoma Sooners. We had 1 penalty for 10 yards, and that was on special teams.
Wow.
So the overall communicative aspect at the line of scrimmage, I looked out there at one point in time, the whole right side of our offense were true freshmen with Ja'Shawn Robertson, Coleman Thomas, Daniel Helm, Josh Malone, and then Jalen Hurd in the backfield. So again, to come away with only 1 penalty, our kids, our effort, our mentality. We've made some mistakes, some mental errors, but not as many as you would think playing the inordinate amount of freshmen.
Well, what would you attribute that to? Not making those mistakes that freshmen usually do or young players usually do?
Well, I think it's our overall teaching style. I think our assistant coaches have done a tremendous job of really slowing down the teaching progression. Our older players have done a tremendous job, the older players that we do have, of really mentoring the younger players. And also, I think it's a tribute to the youngsters. They're bought in, they're locked in, they're eager, they're willing, they want to learn, and they hold on every word that you say.
I think we got a taste of what Hurd can do in that game against Oklahoma, running against a very good defense and producing the way he did. I know big things are ahead of him.
Well, they are, and he's been mature beyond his years. He has a quiet confidence about himself, a calmness. He's never too high, he's never too low. We always talk about consistency in performance, consistency in your approach and all that you do, and he's been extremely consistent for us.
Butch, how much excitement is there right now with what you're building, with the recruiting classes you're getting? Youngsters, again, wanting to come in and play at Tennessee, and maybe in the past few years they didn't want to. What's it like?
Well, there's a lot of momentum, a lot of positive energy surrounding our football program, and that'll continue to be the case. When you look at it, it's an opportunity for individuals to want to put Tennessee football back to its rightful place among the elite of college football. It may be easy to go somewhere where maybe they're a little more established, but the power of Tennessee, especially for an in-state individual, is very, very powerful. That Vol for Life means something, but also when you look at the vision from our administration, a brand new Anderson Training Center complex, which is the best of the best in developing our players, our sports science end of things. When you look at a brand new dormitory complex, only football village of its kind in the country, the installation of 2 more practice fields. When you look at the whole thing, a $12 million TV studio, which will be finalized and completed in October. So when you look at the whole picture, it's a great product to sell, and then the academic reputation, and then play in front of 102-455, the greatest fan base in the country.
With all that said,
are you coming?
Man, I think I'm going to sign up right now and get the paperwork out. But with all that said, you would think, oh, it sells itself. You still got to go out there to these homes, to these families, and still do a nice little sales pitch, because with all that there, we know in this league there's other programs that have very good facilities as well, and they have a lot of great things to offer too. So you still got to do your job, what you're doing.
Well, make no mistake about it, all those things are great and very needed. But at the end of the day, recruiting is all about relationships and building that trust each and every day from the prospective student-athlete standpoint, from their mentors, from their parents, their grandparents, their aunts, their uncles. And we have great people at the University of Tennessee, and we always talk about our greatest resource are its people. People make a place, and that's what we have at Tennessee.
Next up, Georgia after the bye. Last year, a tough one. You had them, very, very competitive. What about the matchup? What about getting back on the horse to play a good Bulldogs team?
Well, again, another great challenge going into an SEC environment with this young football team, playing a very, very talented football team in terms of most people predicted them to win the SEC East, and very deservingly so, extremely talented. But it's going to be a great challenge, but another great opportunity that exists for this football team.
With what's happened so far in a young season, we've seen Carolina go down, we've seen them then beat Georgia, Missouri last year's divisional winner. They're undefeated, but it seems like it's pretty wide open in the East. What do you think?
Well, it is, and it's kind of the talk I had with our football team this afternoon, is you have to treat every week as though it has a season of its own. Each week it's a new season, and it's all based on investing in victory. And we talk about the power of one common commitment, one mindset, one unity of purpose, and just focusing on the things that you can control with this football team, and that's what I like about them.
As far as the playoff is concerned, we're a long way from that. Teams jostling early on to get in position for that 4. What are your thoughts on that playoff, and are you happy to have it?
Well, I think it's very healthy for the game, and obviously the fan bases are very, very excited about it. And if you lose a game early, it still gives a team hope. And the other thing I like, coupled with the playoff, is we kept the bowl system intact. You know, we started off talking about the Liberty Bowl. The Liberty Bowl was very important to us at Cincinnati, of getting our football program again on the national stage, and it's important for the entire country.
How important is to get the 6? This year?
Well, again, we just have to focus on the journey, and obviously a bowl game is one of our team goals. We need to get Tennessee football back to a bowl game. And so, again, it's just focusing on that one day at a time, being a better football team, because as we know, it's like raising 17 to 18-year-olds that's your own children. You know, you have to keep everything in perspective and continue to grow and develop each and every day.
You are certainly on your way. Butch, always a pleasure.
As always, great seeing you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
While Tennessee is coming off a bye week, the Memphis Tigers were back in action last Saturday hosting Middle Tennessee State. On a beautiful day in the Mid-South, 46,000 plus came out the Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium and witnessed a 36-17 win for the Tigers, snapping a 3-game losing streak to the Blue Raiders. Saturday's win over Middle Tennessee State here at Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium was not a conference win for the Tigers. It was not a make-or-break game. But don't kid yourself. It was very important for the Tigers. First of all, momentum going into this weekend's game against Ole Miss. And also the fact that it was the final game in the series with MTSU, the Tigers having lost 3 straight. Now they get off the schneid with the victory, and they do it convincingly. And the reasons are plentiful. Offensively, they clicked. They ran the ball well. Paxton Lynch threw the ball well. But defensively, they stepped up. They hadn't played in a couple of weeks after the performance at UCLA, where there were some holes defensively. While giving up only 88 yards rushing said an awful lot about the Tigers' defense. They also scored on a safety. They also scored 6 points on a fumble return of 59 yards from Bobby McCain. With that type of performance defensively and a solid effort offensively, it was no wonder the Tigers won going away. The Tigers received the ball to start the game and were driving when they ended up having to punt, but a personal foul penalty against Middle Tennessee State gave the Tigers back the football. The Tigers scored an apparent touchdown, but a penalty for illegal touch put the Tigers back 15 yards. But they continued that first drive and scored. It was Paxton Lynch hitting Alan Cross for 7 yards and a TD, 7-0 Tigers. Then the defense stood out. Tank Jakes, who had a huge game, gets a big safety for the Tigers, and they go up 9-0 in the first quarter. Middle Tennessee State would cut the margin to 9-7 on a touchdown run by Shane Tucker, a Memphian who happened to prep at MUS. But after a Jake Elliott 27-yard field goal, it was Memphis's Dorolan Dorcius going 32 yards for the score to give the Tigers a 19-7 lead. They would never look back after that. Elliott kicked a field goal in the third to make it 22-7. A Cody Clark field goal cut it to 22-10. And then, once again, Paxton Lynch would link up with his big tight end, Alan Cross. This one for 50 yards. Cross a rumbling, a stumbling, not quite bumbling. He goes into the end zone, and it's 29-10 Tigers. Then, defensively, the Tigers did it again. Bobby McCain, one of their stalwarts, the senior cornerback, picks up the fumble after the big hit. He goes 59 yards into the land of happy thoughts. The Tigers go up 36-10. They would give up a touchdown late in the game. Once again, it's the MUS product, Shane Tucker. But Memphis wins this one by 19, 36-17. The last time the Tigers were double-digit favorites over a 1A team was back in 2008. They blew out Tulane. 6 years later, they blow out the Blue Raiders.
We played well tonight. We played good defense tonight. Obviously, each week is a new game plan and new challenges, personnel-wise and scheme-wise. So I think they accounted themselves pretty well tonight. You know, it's a long season, and that's just true for both sides of the ball and special teams. We've got to keep getting better in lots of areas. Well, I didn't run the ball very well, which it helps when you can make them one-dimensional. You know, there at the end, they got us on the screen stuff a little bit, but certainly helps when you can cut one head off and just have to focus on the other one. Then we're able to get some pressure through scheme and a little bit just when we were just bringing 3 guys. So we can mix up some looks on people. If there's one part of the game you don't really have to worry about too much.
The media put a lot of importance on this game. How much importance did you guys put on this game?
We put a lot of importance. Coach Fuente told us last Sunday that he circled this game personally, so we knew that we was going to have to come out and play these boys. And they came out too. They did a great job. We just out-executed them. But when defense is putting points on the board and the offense is putting points on the board and the special teams are playing good, that's the 3 phases of the game. Ain't nobody going to stop that. I think we played a lot better than we did last year. We're together more. We play like we love each other, like brothers. You know, we communicate out there. When somebody messes up, we're like, hey man, come on, don't worry about that. When somebody's about to do a stupid penalty, like tonight, I forgot who it was. Somebody pulled them off and was like, hey man, we can't do that. And that's what's going to get us to the next level.
I learned that defense has a lot of heart. We played outstanding coming out the week. We didn't have such a great week against UCLA, so I feel like the coaches pushed us as a defense to come out and play hard and make sure we execute against these guys because they average at least 200 yards rushing per game, so we had to shut them down. Yes, sir. It's a great win. It's a great win. Being in middle 10 is a great competitor. They're a great team, but I feel like we can't. Average ourselves out middle 10. I feel like we need to keep going with the win edge and get ready for next week for Ole Miss.
Was there a chip on your shoulder after the effort at UCLA? Obviously, there were some defensive lapses. I know you guys worked real hard to show your true colors. Tonight, is this the true defense that we're going to be seeing the rest of the season?
Most definitely. We just got to work to get better. We cannot stay content with what we do. We got to attack, practice, and scout our opponents.
If you can play against the rush like you did, it probably gives you a chance in every single game because it makes the team one-dimensional.
Most definitely. We got to stop the run first and foremost. And once we do that, the pass is really easy to defend. It felt great. It gives the young guys the opportunity to see us beat them so they can know and carry on the tradition of us beating Middle Tennessee or anybody in the Liberty Bowl for that matter.
To see a crowd like that support Tigers football, what was that like?
I loved it. Loved the crowd, loved the wave. It did something to me. I liked it.
The Tigers now hit the road for 2 games, including a big non-conference battle Saturday against Ole Miss. Well, we began way back in February with the first of our Good Golf Made Easy lessons to help you become a better golfer. And here we are in September with our final installment. Hopefully you've taken advantage of this and have heeded the words of Greg King, Director of Golf at Miramichi Golf Course. Remember, you can always go back and see our previous lessons on past Sports Files programs. But here once again is Greg.
The last time we visited, we talked about how to become a better short putter. Learning how to measure yourself to the ball, learning how to start the ball down the line. What I'd like to help you with today is how to become a better green reader, how to have better speed control on your long putts. Because I can assure you, if you hit your putts up there from 30 feet to say 2 feet short and somebody says, hey, good putt, really wasn't, because a ball that stops 2 feet short never ever had a chance of going in. When you practice your putting, regardless of it's a level putt, uphill or downhill, I always want you to try to have great speed at the hole. So the ball should get at least to the hole, if not maybe say 18 inches past. That's really the appropriate speed that you want to have the ball going in. One of the greatest putters I've ever seen, Loren Roberts, I'm sure you've all have seen, the one hallmark about his putting is the ball always has a chance, it always has the perfect speed at the hole. So if you'll focus on getting the ball to the hole, if not a little bit past, you'll become a better speed putter. So what I'd like to help you with here is how to most effectively read the greens, read the lay of the land. Most everybody starts with looking right behind the ball and sort of trying to get a sense of how much the ball might break or curve right to left, left to right. Let's start with the concept that gravity is the most powerful force. So the ball is always going to, as it slows, break towards downhill. And so what I'd like to tell you is that I've got a ball set up about 25 feet shy on your right side of that hole. I like to do what I call triangulation. It's a very quick, efficient way of measuring what's in front of you. As I triangulate, as I look from that ball to the hole and back, it gives me approximately how far the greens are. And it also shows me the uphill, downhill. I like to have people visualize wings on an airplane, and is it level, is it uphill, downhill? And in this case, the hole is a little bit uphill, percent and a half of the ball. So I know that that's going to be an uphill putt. The other thing I want to mention to you is the stimp meter reading, the relative speed of the greens. Let's say that when you come out here to our golf course here at Miramichi, we say the greens are rolling 12, which is very, very fast. That is an average of a level putt, a downhill putt, and an uphill putt. What I would encourage you to do when you come to practice before you play is hit different length putts, kind of like the ladder drill we did on wedge play, of different distances, both level, then uphill, then downhill. So you'll get a sense of the energy transfer necessary for, let's say, 10 to 35 footers that are all of the above, whether it's level, uphill, or downhill again. So you have a sense of how hard to hit it to make the ball end up close to the hole. In all my years of teaching, people that three putt too much, it's always a function of speed control. If we can help you get more refined in your speed control, your first putts are going to end up much closer to the hole and you're going to three putt a whole lot less. What I'd like to help you with now is to give you a tip to help really refine your speed control so that you've got the ability to hit the ball, and again, as the ball gets to the hole, that it's got the perfect speed to go in. So let me give you an analogy of another sport. Let's talk about basketball. And you never see anybody shooting a free throw while they're looking at their hands and hoping that watching their hands at that stroke will make the ball go in a cylinder 10 feet high, 15 feet away. Rather, what you see them do as they're shooting the basketball is they're looking at where they want the ball to go and they let their body conform to that. So we'll use that sort of visual picture to help you with your practice strokes. Let me reiterate, this is as you prepare to putt, how I want you to have your eyes looking. So what I'd like to show you here is, as I get ready to putt for this, from here to this hole about 12 feet away, pretty fast green, breaking hard to the right. When I make my practice strokes, I'm going to set up the putter about 6 inches or so inside, and instead of looking at the ground and hoping that my stroke while I look at the ground matches what's in front of me, when I make my practice strokes, I'm going to have my eyes out here and I can really sort of feel the pendulum, the energy of this stroke to make the right distance, the right energy transfer. Again, this is just a practice stroke so that when I step up to the ball, I'm just repeating what I felt to be correct. So we started this 8-part series of Good Golf Made Easy back in February, back when it was snowing. We were indoors hitting balls outdoors into the snow. Now here we are in September. We've had a great summer, it's been beautiful. We've got some great fall golf that I'll encourage you to get out and enjoy the time out with your family, your friends, to play some golf. Hopefully, you'll review these tapes and practice a little bit. If you want to be a better golfer next year, the time to practice is now in the fall and the winter, so that you can come out of the gates ready to go next year. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your golf improvement with Good Golf Made Easy.
Thanks, Greg. Terrific job. And that'll do it for the show. But before we say goodbye, it's time to say thank you. Today completes 2 full years since my arrival here at WKNO to begin Sports Files with Greg Gaston. To our loyal viewers, our terrific underwriters, and the many who financially support us here on WKNO, thank you. And to the entire crew, happy anniversary. Look at this cake. What a great job they did. Now, folks, it's time for everybody here on the crew to eat cake. Next week, it's a very special edition of Sports Files as we dive into the controversial and sometimes tragic subject of head injuries in the game of football. Until then, have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Come on up.
Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by
Infinity of Memphis has moved to Germantown Road, just half-mile north of Wolf Chase Galleria, and is proud to support WKNO for its quality broadcasting and service to our community. Quality and service? No wonder Infinity of Memphis feels at home on WKNO. The Lighting Source, major line distributor of commercial and industrial lighting, including hard-to-find bulbs and fixtures, as well as a broad range of LED products. With 35 years' experience servicing lighting needs, The Lighting Source proudly sponsors Sports Files.